There is no other offer of salvation through Christ where you have Christ as Savior, but you don't have to have Him as Lord. There's no offer where turning to Christ doesn't also mean turning from sin. There's no solution where you can just live cross-eyed. It's not going to work. I think of the rich young ruler when I think of people who think they can negotiate with God. People who want to come to the Lord and say, hey, I want you, Jesus, but I also want to keep my sin. The rich young ruler came to Jesus, and in his heart, he was hoping to negotiate. He wanted to strike a deal where he could be right with God and yet continue serving money as his Lord and Master. But Jesus knew what was going on in his heart, and he knew that money was this man's God. And so Jesus, like He does with us, put His finger right on that pressure point. He probably hasn't come to many of you and said, like, you need to give up everything you have to follow me. Give up all your money. Because some of you are probably like me and you're like, okay, listen, Lord, if you want my $12 that bad, it's yours. You can take it, Jesus. But the Lord has probably put His finger on that pressure point, and maybe He's doing it now. And it's not an accident. That thing where you think, oh man, if this command wasn't just in the Bible, if the Lord didn't just ask this, why does He have to make such a big deal over this issue? Because that's your issue. He's putting His finger right on it, and He does it with the rich young ruler, and He says to him, go, sell all your belongings and give to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. Jesus didn't say that to anybody else. He didn't go to any of the disciples and say, sell everything you have. Didn't need to. And then in Matthew's gospel we read, when the young man heard that, he went away grieving because he had many possessions. And I'm always struck when I read this that Jesus did not chase after him. There are so many Christians today who would have chided Jesus, corrected Jesus, rebuked Jesus in that situation for being cold and legalistic. I know many Christians who would have said, he's just a baby Christian, Jesus. You can't expect him to make such radical changes so fast. People take time to change, Jesus. He needs to experience love and community first, and then his heart can change over time. Don't be so judgmental, Jesus. Listen to me, church. If you're listening or watching online, tune in, because I believe the modern church needs to hear this. We fear making Christianity too hard for people. And so we lower the bar on God's behalf, something we do not have the authority to do. And when we lower the bar and redefine what it means to be a Christian, we devalue Jesus. We lower the value of Christ. We say to people, I know Christ is pretty expensive. He's costly. But what if I took 50% off the cost? Would you be interested then? Would you be a buyer then? What if I told you you could keep your sin and have Christ? What if I offered you 50% off, Jesus as Savior, but you don't have to take Him as Lord as well? Would you be interested then? May God have mercy on us for trying to lower the value of the perfect Son of God and the priceless sacrifice He made on our behalf. May the Lord forgive us for cheapening His blood, His broken body, and His death on our behalf. And this is how twisted much of the modern church has become, how distorted our view of grace has become, that we think we're putting too much of a burden on people if we tell them that in order to follow Christ, they must abandon all their other gods and idols. We think that's asking too much of people when Jesus says they can't have Him and their idols too. As though Jesus Christ is asking too much when He offers us freedom from sin and death. As though Christ is asking too much when He refuses to share the throne with idols.